They did not come with cannons. They did not come with armies. They came with ink, with treaties written in languages my ministers struggled to read, with contracts that gave with one hand and took with the other, with smiles so practiced they had forgotten they were not real. My name is Sultan Davud. I ruled the western provinces of the Ottoman Empire in the last decades of the 19th century. And I want to tell you something that no history book written by my enemies will ever tell you. I saw them coming. Every move, every treaty, every carefully worded insult dressed as diplomacy. I saw all of it, long before they believed I could. And what I did about it was not what they expected. It was not what anyone expected, because I did not fight them the way they wanted me to fight. I built. To understand what they did to us, you must first understand what we were. The Ottoman Empire in the 1870s was not the dying empire that European newspapers described with such satisfied certainty. We were ancient. We were complex. We were a civilization that had held together more languages, more religions, more peoples than most of the world had ever attempted. That complexity was our strength, and they knew it, so they did not attack the strength. They attacked the complexity. Ambassador Harrington arrived in Constantinople in the spring of 1874. He brought with him what appeared to be an offer of friendship, a trade agreement, a modernization partnership, the language of progress. I received him in the throne room of Topkapi Palace. He bowed, he smiled, he spoke beautifully of mutual respect and shared futures. And as he spoke, I watched his eyes, not his words, his eyes. They moved across the throne room the way a man's eyes move, when he is calculating the value of something he intends to own. He was not here for partnership. He was here for inventory. I smiled back. I offered tea. I signed nothing. That evening, I called Vizier Osman to my private study. I spread the proposed treaty across the table between us. We read it together in silence for a long time. Then Osman looked up at me. "Your Majesty," he said quietly, "if we sign this, we will own the words," I finished for him, "and they will own everything the words describe." Osman nodded slowly. "What do we do?" he asked. I looked at the treaty for a long moment. Then I looked out the window, at the city beyond the palace walls, at the minarets catching the last of the evening light, at the market still busy with the ordinary dignified business of people living their lives. "We build," I said. "Before they can take, I want to be honest about what those years cost. Because I have told you what I saw clearly. What I have not yet told you is what it felt like. To see clearly, and be unable to stop it quickly enough." Harrington left Constantinople without a signed treaty. But he did not leave empty-handed. He left with information, with the names of ministers whose debts made them flexible, with a detailed understanding of which pressure points would make the empire bend, and bend it did. Not all at once, not dramatically, slowly. The way a great tree bends before it breaks. You almost do not notice until the angle becomes impossible to ignore. By 1876, 3 of my most trusted ministers had accepted what Harrington's government called consultancy arrangements. By 1877, 2 provincial governors had signed local agreements that contradicted the central authority of the empire. By 1878, the newspapers in London were writing, with cheerful confidence, about the inevitable modernization of the Ottoman territories. Modernization, that was the word they used. When a man takes your house and tells you he is improving it, that is not modernization. That is occupation dressed in the language of progress. I sat in my private study on a winter evening in 1878, surrounded by reports from every province, and I felt something I had not allowed myself to feel since the day I took the throne. Grief, not for myself, for the people beyond the palace walls, for the merchant in Thessaloniki, who did not know that the trade agreement his government had just signed would slowly transfer the profits of his labor to a company headquartered in London. For the farmer in Anatolia, who did not know that the land his family had worked for 4 generations was being quietly reclassified in documents he would never see. For the teacher in Damascus, who did not know that the curriculum being modernized in his school was designed to make his students feel that their own history was something to be ashamed of. They were not attacking the empire. They were attacking the people's belief that they deserved to exist as themselves. That is the cruelest form of conquest. It does not need armies. It only needs time. And the slow erosion of a people's confidence in their own worth. I closed the reports. I sat in the silence for a long time, and then I made a decision that my court thought was madness, and that history would eventually understand. I called Vizier Osman the next morning. "I need builders," I told him. He looked at me carefully. "For what, Your Majesty?" "Schools," I said, "hospitals, libraries, engineering colleges. In every province they are trying to take." Osman was quiet for a moment. "Your Majesty," he said slowly, "with respect, they are signing treaties faster than we can build schools." "Yes," I said, they are." "Then why?" "Because a treaty can be broken," I said. "A mind that has been educated cannot be uneducated. A hospital that has healed a generation cannot be unbuilt from the memory of the people it served. A library that has held the knowledge of a civilization does not disappear when a flag changes." Osman looked at me for a long moment. Then he sat down. "You are not fighting the treaty," he said slowly. "No," I said. "I am fighting what comes after the treaty. I am building what they cannot take, because it will already live inside the people." The plan took 3 years to execute fully, not because it was complicated, because it was vast. I redirected treasury funds that my court believed were going to military preparations. Some were. But most went to something my enemies considered far less threatening. Education, medicine, infrastructure. I sent engineers to study in Paris and Vienna, not to admire European methods, but to understand them well enough, to build something better suited to our own people. I commissioned the construction of 47 schools in provinces where Harrington's people were most active. I established medical training programs in 6 cities. I created a printing press in Constantinople that published Ottoman scientific and literary works in 12 languages spoken within our borders. And I did all of it quietly, without announcement, without ceremony, because I had learned something watching Harrington smile across the throne room table. The most dangerous things are the ones your enemy does not notice until they are already complete. By 1885, something had shifted, not dramatically, not with the thunder of cannon fire or the signing of treaties. Quietly, the way dawn arrives. You do not see the exact moment the darkness ends. You simply look up one morning, and the light is already there. The first school graduated its students in Thessaloniki in the spring of 1883. 212 young men and women who could read Ottoman, Arabic, Greek, and French, who understood engineering and medicine and law, who knew the history of their civilization, not as Europeans had written it, but as it had actually happened. Harrington's people had expected to find a population made passive by economic pressure. Instead, they found something they had not prepared for, a generation that understood exactly what was being done to them and had the knowledge to respond to it. The provincial governor of Thessaloniki, one of the men who had accepted Harrington's consultancy arrangement, found himself unable to implement the latest round of trade modifications. Not because of military resistance, because the merchants of Thessaloniki had read the agreement themselves, had identified the specific clauses that transferred their profits abroad, had organized a commercial alternative. That made the agreement functionally irrelevant. They had learned this in one of my schools. In 1886, Harrington requested another audience with me. He arrived at Topkapi Palace with a thicker folder of documents than before. More treaties, more modernization partnerships, more carefully worded instruments of quiet acquisition. He was still smiling. He was always smiling. I received him in the same throne room. I offered tea. I listened to everything he said with complete attention. And then I told him something, and that made the smile, finally, reach his eyes in a different way. "Ambassador," I said, "I have been building schools." He nodded politely. "How commendable, Your Majesty." 47 of them, I said. "In the provinces your government finds most interesting." The smile stayed on his face, but something behind his eyes shifted. "The graduates of those schools," I continued, "can read every document your government has sent up in the original language it was written in, including the ones that were never meant to be understood." The smile did not disappear. Harrington was too practiced for that, but the folder of documents stayed closed on his lap for the rest of the meeting. He left without presenting a single new treaty. It was the first time in 12 years of diplomatic pressure that he had left empty-handed. I will not tell you that what I built saved the empire. History is more complicated than that. And I have always believed that the griot's job is to tell the truth, not the comfortable version of it. The Ottoman Empire faced pressures that no single sultan and no single generation of school could fully resist. But here is what I will tell you. The 47 schools I built are still standing. Not all of them as schools. Some are hospitals now. Some are community centers. Some are universities. But the buildings stand. And more importantly, the knowledge that passed through their doors passed into the people who walked out of them. And those people passed it to their children. And their children passed it forward again. In 1922, long after my time, when the empire finally ended and a new nation rose from its foundations, the men and women who built that nation were educated in schools that traced their lineage directly to the program I began in 1879. They did not know my name, most of them. History had buried it under the names of more dramatic figures. But they carried what I built in the way they thought, in the way they organized, in the way they refused to believe that their civilization was something to be ashamed of. Harrington is remembered in history books. His treaties are documented. His diplomatic victories are catalogued. What is not catalogued is the fact that none of them lasted. Every treaty he signed was eventually renegotiated. Every province he thought he had secured found its own way back to itself. Because you cannot own a people in whose children have been taught what they are worth. That is what I built. Not walls, not weapons. Worth. The griot's job is to remember, to make sure these stories are never forgotten. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you believe that justice always finds a way, subscribe, because there are more stories like this one, and every one of them deserves to be told.
I came with dust on my hands and a heart too small to hold the weight of the stars above. I bowed in the dry wind, I learned the shape of silence from the camel tracks and stone. I am only a sun from a passing flame. Allah, if I am low, let my lowness be my name. Allah, take me near. Allah, make me clear. Allah, I return. Allah, let me burn. Allah, take my fear. Allah, through the years, Allah, I am here. Allah, let me hear. My palms are open again like empty bowls at dawn, waiting for rain to remember me. The road knows my footsteps, the ridge knows my longing, the moon keeps my secret close. I was proud in my bones, now I kneel in sand. Allah, if I am made, shape me with your hand. Allah, take me near. Allah, make me clear. Allah, I return. Allah, let me burn. Allah, take my fear. Allah, through the years, Allah, I am here. Allah, let me hear. In the hush between two breaths, I find your door. In the hush between two breaths, I ask for more. I am nothing in the dunes, and still you know my name. I am nothing in the dunes, and still I call you.